Everyone loves spell jars, right? Honestly, when you are just beginning witchcraft, you tend to see them everywhere. They are simple, effective, easy to make, and pretty, but they're also somewhat mysterious. Why do we use jars for magic? Where did this tradition come from? And what do you do with your jars when you need to dispose of them? From a historical perspective, modern jar magic is actually fairly new. And that's because modern jars are fairly new. These are a product of mass marketing, and the mason jar wasn't even invented until 1856 and didn't reach mass popularity until several years after that. Previously, we were much more likely to have seen a bottle, perhaps even a bottle like this one. Witch bottles were a type of folk magic that was usually used as a defense. They were filled with pins, needles, sharp shards of glass, and then something to connect the affected person. Traditionally, it would be a lock of hair, fingernail, perhaps some urine. Later bottles did substitute port wine for the urine, or seawater, or dirt. There were all sorts of varieties. Once made, the bottle was usually buried in the furthest corner of the property or hidden somewhere in the home. The pins would catch whatever ill energy was attacking the person, therefore protecting them. The spell would work so long as the bottle survived. In many cases, the bottle actually outlived the spellcaster, as we are still finding them. Sometimes in old houses, or buried under the hearthstone where old houses used to be. There was another variation, more often used if there was an active curse or bewitching that was suspected, where the bottle would, instead of being placed somewhere in the ground, be thrown into a fire. When the bottle burst from the heat of the flame, the witch who was attacking the affected person would be killed. In terms of modern disposal, burying glass isn't the wisest thing to do, especially if you don't have a lot of land that you can bury things in. Now, I have buried things before in a potted plant, which hides the bottle and also arguably fulfills the buried requirement. Otherwise, for protection magic, you really want to keep that bottle with you. I know that can be a little tricky if you're trying to practice discreet witchcraft, but fortunately there is another more decorative alternative that I'm going to be discussing in an upcoming video on witch balls. If you enjoyed this video and you learned something, help me out and subscribe. It does mean a lot to me. Also, there will be videos coming up very soon in my Patreon. There will be a link somewhere down there for y'all to check that out as well. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time.